Howdy folks, it's Matthew, your friendly neighborhood technician, making another video for you out of Boise, Idaho. And as you can see, the Lincoln LS is back. And this is a 2002 Lincoln LS. And if you watch my previous videos, I replaced the timing chain tensioners, the secondary timing chain tensioners, replaced a couple spark plug coil connectors. Sorry, I had a brain fart there. And then also replaced the coils as well as valve covers, oil pan gasket, valve cover gaskets, and I think that's about it off the top of my head. So did quite a bit of work to it, put it back on the road. It was driven for about 90 miles, and there's still a little bit of complaint about gas mileage, so I'm going to look into the fuel system a little further and see what I can do there. And there is also a complaint that there's a fluttering noise, and that after about 90 miles the vehicle overheated, which is interesting to me, because unfortunately, I mean, it would be fortunate for the customer if I had messed with the cooling system or replaced the water pump or anything like that, because then it would have been a warranty. But as far as any of the work that I did on it, I didn't go anywhere near the cooling system, and unless there's an issue with the water pump or something like that, or the thermostat, there's no reason why it should be overheating. And it's just really unfortunate that after spending all that money and fixing up the timing chain tensioners and whatnot, that within 90 miles of getting the vehicle back, the water pump decides to go out, because I'm going to tell you right now, that's exactly what's happening. So it came back with the complaint that it started overheating, and the first thing I did was go ahead and look into the coolant, and it's kind of difficult to see, but you got a couple marks down here on the Lincoln LS, and obviously I can see, I don't know if you guys can see too well, but bottom line is there is no coolant in the reservoir. It is not just low, it is extremely low. So that makes you wonder, and you go ahead and move forward, you start looking for any leaks. Well, there are no leaks whatsoever. Well, how is that possible? How are we low on coolant and there are no leaks? Well, more than likely at that point, it's probably because the water pump is not turning or moving the coolant correctly through the system. And if that's the case, then it's probably just evaporating off and bleeding out of the reservoir and stuff like that. So we have a vehicle that is now overheating, is low on coolant, and makes a fluttering noise as you're driving down the road. And remember, this is a Ford, so the first thing I went ahead and did was I checked the water pump, and lo and behold, watch this. Okay, now, maybe you can even hear it. Okay, so first of all, water pumps are not supposed to free spin like that. Okay? Water pumps need to have resistance, and a water pump that you can just freely spin like that, that's the first sign that the bearings inside of the water pump are becoming weak. They're loosening up and they're weak, and so there's no resistance as the water pump is turning for the impeller. Why does a water pump need to be tight and not spin freely? Well, to keep it simple, I understand that we call it a water pump, but it's really not a water pump, because it's not water that you put into this system. It's coolant. It's antifreeze. And so the molecular structure of the antifreeze is different than water. And so the water pump, or the coolant pump as we should actually be calling it, needs to have some resistance on it in order to properly turn and move that chemical through the system, in order to keep it cooled off accordingly and all that other stuff. A free spinning water pump is not moving the coolant through the system accordingly, and it'll, evaporate off. Car will start to overheat. Those are the first signs you'll see. A lot of times you also see signs of a heater core that's not working, or in the cold early mornings it'll feel like it takes longer for your heat to come on. That's because the water pump is not moving the coolant correctly, it's not building up the proper pressure, and it's not moving it through the heater core correctly. So unfortunately, this guy now needs a new water pump, and that's just That's kind of like on this car when the cam cap bolt stripped out and I had to spend the extra time to go in and fix that. That was nobody's fault. Again, this is nobody's fault. This is not a warranty deal. So, but this is where I think business ethics come in, and he's a good customer and doesn't give me a hard time too much about time, actually at all about time. And so it's like, we don't really need to charge an arm and a leg to get this done. So I'm gonna sit down and figure out how I can get this water pump changed out for them and make it cost effective. In the meantime, I'm also going to replace the oil pan gasket that I put up there that is now looking like it's rolled, and I just need to replace it and do that job over again, and then we'll get this Lincoln LS on the road. But there you go, folks. There's some information about water pumps and how they work, and also why this vehicle has decided to, after 90 miles, begin to overheat. Now, if you were to continue to drive it, it would either A, start leaking out of the weep holes, and so you definitely see coolant and stuff leaking out, or B, your car would just constantly overheat, and that's no good either. So, well, folks, this is Matthew, your friendly neighborhood technician. I greatly appreciate all your support. Don't forget to check me out on patreon.com. I got a project over there that I'm trying to get going, try to offer you guys more one-on-one interactive help, maybe even trade like phone numbers, emails, Skype, walk you through any processes and procedures you may be trying to execute yourself on your own vehicles and all that other stuff. And then I got another project going on over on GoFundMe. Right now I'm trying to raise $1,000, and I like to take that money and put it towards a family that needs automotive repair, that can't necessarily afford it. To keep it simple, what I hope to do is kind of make a TV show out of this, and just kind of from beginning to end find people that definitely need help, veterans, families, elderly, disabled, medically challenged people, get to know them, and put the repair videos on YouTube and see if we can make a show out of it. So there's definitely more detail about that at GoFundMe. Once again, thank you for your support. I am signing off.